Hello, hello, hello. Let's give this a couple of seconds. Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. Good afternoon. So, my name is Lou Perica. I am your host today, and thank you for being here at Earn More and Live More. So, I am a success mindset mentor, and what I do is I help real estate professionals become their highest version of themselves. And how we do that is we get them to shift the way they think and start to release limiting beliefs so they can actually create the freedom in their careers, their finances, in their personal lives that they truly desire and deserve. And how we do this is we work with the power of the mind along with universal laws. Both your mind and the universe are here to serve, but if you do not know how to use them effectively, you're using them to work against you. And the majority of people do not understand the mind and the powers it has if we use it properly to serve us. So, in today's training, why risk taking is necessary to succeed. And this training actually piggybacks off of last week's training, was fear and growth go hand in hand. And in that training, we learned about the terror barrier. And that the terror barrier is that wall that you come up against when you want to do something new, something different. And because it's something you've never done before, you actually have to become more of yourself. If you keep staying in that comfort zone, you won't experience that terror barrier. So it's actually a good thing. When you're a little scared to do something and you're fearful and your heart starts racing, but you know in your heart by doing it, your whole world is going to change. And you can probably look back in your life and think about times when you've actually crashed through that terror barrier that we call. And, if you don't go through that and you retreat back, everything pretty much stays the same. It stays the same, and you will not receive the growth that you're intended to. There is layers and layers of us underneath, but until we have something, and this is why we talk about goals all the time, that will pull out that other version of us, we'll never know. And when we do pull that out and we do have to do something that we're afraid of doing, and if we don't go through that and go back, we don't know what the growth is. So, as Abraham Maslow once said, you either step forward into growth or back into safety. And this training is going to help you understand why you may be reluctant to take risks and to get more comfortable taking risks without the fear of loss or failure so you can grow and be a higher version of yourself. So here's 3 reasons why most people hold back from taking risks. Number one, going into the unknown, right? Not knowing the hows. We talked about this last week. Number two, fear of failure. And number three, fear of embarrassment or criticism. And I'm sure everyone who's watching this now or catching the replay, I'm sure you can identify with all three. I know I did, and I still do. But I understand that if I want to know what I'm made of, I'm taking a chance. I'm betting on me. So let's get into the first one, going into the unknown, not knowing the hows. Let's say there's this thing that you want, whether a goal, what could be a car, it could be you want to be a top sales producer, could be a new house, whatever this thing is. It could be simply freedom, financial freedom, freedom to have make the great choices and have great relationships, whatever this thing is. but you don't know, how it's possible to get because you've been living the way you've been living your whole life. So this thing, you may give it some consideration, but your current thinking limits you. You're thinking within this radar screen. This is where, you've heard the expression think outside the box, right? So this radar screen, which contains your logic, it contains everything that you know, everything that you're familiar with. And the answer lies outside of our radar screen. It lies outside of the box, right? This is why thinking outside the box. You won't know the house if you stay within the box. You have to look outside. And sometimes when you start to really think about this idea, it may start to get fuzzy to you and it may just seem like way too much work. It's like, you know what, I thought about it, but it's way too much work. And you give up on it. You give up on it. You retreat back to what you know. And what you know is the comfort zone. And I can tell you, magic does not happen in the comfort zone. It does not happen in the comfort zone. The next one is fear of failure. So let's go back to our little lives when we first started taking our first steps. And I talk about this many times if you watch the trainings. I'm always going back to when we're babies. And a baby is a born risk taker. It never considers the consequences of falling down. It's a prerequisite to mastering the motor skills it needs to get up on our feet and start moving. But the adults in our life, the guardians in our life at that time, although well meaning, and through their passed down conditioning, what would they say to us? Be careful, you'll fall. Don't touch that. You'll hurt yourself. I did it as a parent. I most definitely did that. And if you're a parent, most likely you may have said those words too. And we heard many, many phrases of caution when we were a child. And what starts to happen, it starts to put doubt in the child's mind. They start doubting themselves. Here's one that we've all heard, and it is so ingrained in us. Better to be safe than sorry. Is it? Is it really? I may not walk off a building, but in most cases, playing it safe is just stunting my growth. How many times have we said that as a habitual response? Most likely we don't even give it any thought. We don't even give thought to whatever the risk is that's being presented, but through habit, oh well, better safe than sorry, we just say it, poof, and we fluff off the idea and just end the conversation. I know I've done that thousands of times probably in my lifetime. Oh yeah, well, better safe than sorry. I'm not even considering the risk. I didn't even think about it. I just responded that way because it's so programmed in me to be safe and logical. And here's another one. Stick with what you know. Stick with what you know. How many times have you heard that? Stick with what you know. How do we grow if we don't go outside of our radar screen? Sticking with what you know. Here's another one, and this is a big one: fear of embarrassment or criticism. I took a big risk when I left real estate to do what I'm doing now. I'm going through, I go through going into the unknown, not knowing the house, fear of failure, fear of embarrassment and criticism. Yeah, I go through it. Every time I click that go live, I still get the little the little butterflies for sure. but I am so passionate about the information that I share, the program that I share with people. It's so powerful, and the want is so strong that it gets me through. It gets me through the terror barrier. I know I just focus, my will is focused on my goal in serving others. And that's what gets me through. So the fear of embarrassment and criticism, this is a big one. And again, brings us back to our little lives. Were we criticized when we were small? If you were fortunate enough to have been raised with praise, most likely you feel very confident about yourself, right? If you are raised with criticism, we start to develop a fear of what other people's opinions of us are. And what that has us do, it starts to have us play small because we don't want any attention brought to us. We don't want the spotlight on us. I know in my own life, there were times I didn't want the attention put on me, right? So if you had to raise your hand when you were a kid or even an adult and you had a question, did you raise your hand? Or was it kind of like this? I used to do that, right? Unsure of myself instead of saying, hey, I have a question, right? So that fear of criticism, and I once heard someone said, we're so concerned about what other people are thinking of us. Here's the newsflash. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. Well, that was enlightening for me. So I just do my own thing. I do my own thing. But you can see the damage that that does to people is when they're fearful of humiliation, ridicule, and embarrassment, right? Um, and anyone that's ever really done anything worth mentioning has gone through all of that, always being ridiculed. Again, I use the Wright brothers. Their fathers thought they were going to burn in hell, right? For wanting to, whatever, they develop the plane, right? To put something in the air, that craft into the air. So they thought, their father thought that they were going to burn in hell for this. They were ridiculed. They were embarrassed. Um, who else? Carl Benz. He used to take his little car or bicycle or the little machine and drive it at night so nobody would see him. Again, didn't want the ridicule and embarrassment to stop them. So here's a four-letter word that's been buried in our subconscious mind, and that word is can't. Cannot, right? Can't. And what that word does, when we say we can't do something or it can't be done, it paralyzes any constructive progress. And what it does is it switches our mind into a negative frequency. And our mind will actually search for logical, practical reasons why something cannot be done. And it will go back in our memory and remind us of things that we couldn't do in the past. So this is why many times when we want to go do something and we're a little fearful and we're saying, oh, you might hear people, oh, it can't be done, or you can't do that. The mind will automatically search to prove you right. But here's the thing. Here's the polar opposite. I can. I can. And when you think I can, the mind starts searching for past wins, opportunities, and resources that will help you hit your target. This is a success mechanism built in us, and it needs a target to strive for. And this is why when with my clients, we share our wins. And I mentioned this in past trainings. How many times do we play down our wins? Or if we think about our win, it's so short lived. And yet, when we talk about something that didn't work for us or something that's bothering us, we can go into all the details, right? Because we're bringing somebody into the drama and we're giving them all the details and all the emotions of why this didn't work, or this person's is such a such and such, right? Or this person cut me off and this is what happened. We can go into great detail, but when we talk about our wins, it's very short lived. And many times it's because we were told not to boast, right? Stop talking about yourself, right? And play it down. So this is what happens. So taking risk is essential when you want to reach a goal. And the purpose of goals is growth. It's not the getting, it's who you become along the way. And when you challenge yourself, bet on yourself, take a risk. You bring more of you to the surface. You bring parts of you and things that you didn't even know existed. I never thought that I would, if someone told me a couple of years ago that I'd be doing live trainings on Facebook or YouTube or on LinkedIn, I would have thought they were crazy. And again, I know I have to keep focused on what I want and my goal and my intention. And this, your want has to be stronger than the excuses. It must be stronger than the circumstances and the conditions. I was just talking to a friend um, that, if you think about the squirrels and the birds and what other living creatures out there, everything has what it needs to succeed, whether it's, just to survive, to procreate, and just to keep on living, keeping the species alive. And yet the universe doesn't come down and hand feed the bird. It doesn't come down and hand feed the squirrel. Everything is out there, but the bird and the squirrel have to go and search for it. They have to go and hunt. The same thing with us. Everything that we need is there, but we have to take the action steps to go out and look for it. The risk that you take will bring out skills and talents and abilities that have been lying dormant within you. Here's some benefits of taking risks. Unforeseen opportunities arise. It's amazing the people that you meet when you start having conversations, when you start opening yourself up, opportunities will start to present themselves. But if we play small, if we just want to kind of blend in. I just wanted to blend, but I just want to blend in. I didn't want any attention to me, even though some people that know me might disagree. But you know, inside, I really just wanted to blend. I wanted to be average. I don't even like those words now. But anyways, so unforeseen opportunities arise. It builds confidence and develops new skills, just like I was just talking about. This will bring out things that you never knew were within you. It develops a sense of pride and accomplishment. Think about when you faced the fear, you did the thing that you could not do, that you thought in the past that you could not do. Wow. I was supposed to go, there's this big rope thingy majiggy. I've been driving by it for 10 years, this big rope apparatus. And what you do is you climb it. And so I would ask people, would you do it with me? Everyone's no, 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 no. So someone was supposed to do it with me this weekend and they decided not to do it, which is fine. And I said, frig it, I'm going there. So I drove there, and it's this pretty big structure. And when I got there, it was closed. So I saw a couple of people there and I went in and I talked to the owner, etc. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to come back on, because I'm only open on the weekends because they're short staffed. I'm going to do this. I've been driving by this for 10 years. I'm going to do it. even if no one else wants to do it. So I was telling this gentleman, the owner, but they also have you pay like $20 extra, a buddy system. So some young kid will go up with you and walk you through the structure and the course. So look for that. I'll be posting that when I do that. There were a lot of things that I was afraid to do. I was afraid when I ran the marathon. I was like, what have I gotten myself into? I did the Spartan race, even though it was the modified one at Fenway Park. What the heck? I had to climb this rope thing and get on the other side. And the rope is moving around. I was scared. I was scared, but I just kept saying, you've got this, Lou, you've got this, you've got this. And these are the things, when you conquer them, that you do feel really good about yourself, right? It feels amazing that, it does. You have a sense of pride and accomplishment. Learn things that you might not otherwise have learned. I've been learning so much. My whole world has opened up to me once I started studying me. I've learned things that I would have never learned because I was so closed off. I was so closed minded. Now I'm open. I have an open mindset, a growth mindset. The opportunity to actively pursue success. If you want success, and it doesn't necessarily mean in business or finances, it doesn't matter. Whatever you deem success is for you, taking a risk, going for it. This creates, again, opportunities. Opportunities, you'll start noticing them all around you. It's really quite amazing. It spurs creativity. This is when you start asking yourself, what can I do? What All right, if I already accomplished the goal, whatever that goal is, what were the steps that I had to take? Who did I have to speak to? Where did I have to go? What did I have to study? Right? You start asking yourself these things. This creates creativity. Um, Opportunity to create change in your life, kind of the same thing, right? Ask yourself these questions. Who do I have to be today in order to achieve my goal? And to develop emotional resilience. This is powerful. When you start focusing just on you, when you start to develop you, who you truly are, when you work on your self image, you don't have to put on different masks with different people, right? Most of us, when we're with our partner, we're one kind of person. When we're with our kids, we're another type of person. When we're with our whatever boss or whomever, we're another type of person. When you really discover who you truly are and acknowledge your self-worth and develop the self-image that you want, not the one that's been handed down to you, but the one that you want, you start being you with everyone, because the other roles are kind of exhausting. Okay, I'm talking to this one. I got to be this person. I'm talking to that one. And you're doing it unconsciously. You're not doing it consciously. You're doing it unconsciously, but putting on different masks for different people, it's exhausting. Not being your truth is exhausting. And once you do start living your truth, it's extremely freeing. So remember again, nothing magical happens in the comfort zone. And anyone who's ever done anything worth mentioning took risks. They took big risks. So as we wind down, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope that this helped someone who's been considering taking a chance on themselves, betting on themselves. Let's see who's here. Hi, Tasharin. Thank you so much for joining me today. Tasharin's a regular, and I appreciate her so much for coming on and for engaging. So please keep in mind, our mind and the universe are here to serve us. The majority of people are walking around using the power of their mind and the lack of understanding the universal laws, and they're using both things against themselves. If you're looking for change, for growth, for a higher version of you, remember to set up a discovery call. DM me for the link and let's chat. I thank you so much for joining me today. Tashrin, thank you again. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Have an awesome day, everyone. Bye bye.